Hello, church. It's Pastor Mike. Whenever it was Christmas morning, my parents kind of had it's not even enough to call it a tradition. It was just a thing that they would do. If I got a present that involved batteries, that needed batteries, then the little pack of batteries would also be included among my wrapped presents, which was good because there's nothing worse than opening a present and then realizing it needs 4D batteries and you can't use it anyway, and you just have to sit there and say, well, now what? We need to run to the store on Christmas. But it could make things confusing sometimes if you're opening up all your presents and then you just open up a pack of batteries and you have to think and say, there's a purpose for this, and I just don't know what it is yet. I'm trusting my parents to not have just given me batteries for Christmas. I was reading through and continuing to go through the book of Acts, and in chapter 2, you get Pentecost. You get the story of the Holy Spirit moving, where these disciples become apostles. They become filled with the Spirit and go out and preach God's message to all the people gathered in Jerusalem. But as the story goes at the beginning of chapter 2, they receive this Spirit. They're filled with the Holy Spirit, verse 4 says, and they begin to speak in other languages as the Spirit enabled them. That is an amazing gift and ability from the Spirit. And I couldn't help but wonder how anticlimactic that gift would be, that ability would be, if they walked out from that upper room speaking in all the languages of the world and there was no one there to hear them. The only people were the people who lived in Jerusalem, who don't speak those languages, who looked up and said, what in the world are these guys going on about? We have to recognize that when God gives us a gift, it's for a purpose. It's for a reason that we can trust. If I have this gift, it's because it needs to be used in my context right now. If God has given us the Spirit to speak in languages different than our own, then it might be because there are some people who speak another language who need to hear His good news. If God gives us batteries, we've got to trust that there's something around here that runs on those batteries that isn't going to be the same if we don't plug these batteries into it. So often we can look at the gifts that God has given us sort of like our own private case of medals. We can just look at it and say, well, I have the gift of this and I have the gift of that. I can do these things. God has given me those gifts. But the next question is, why? Why has God given you that gift? How are you using it right now? Don't just take those batteries, those abilities, those skills, those gifts, and say, well, I'm going to hold on to them because I never know when they might be useful. I want to have a plan for whatever might come, or I know this is my get out of jail free card. I know that I can talk my way out of the problem. I've always had the ability to talk. Then God maybe is saying, yes, I gave you the ability to communicate effectively and to be charismatic. What are you doing to use it for my kingdom? Go. Use that thing now. Use that gift. When we hold on to the gifts of God for the purpose of God, that's when we begin to glorify God. Because we realize those gifts aren't just for us to puff us up, they are to build us up so we can go out into the world for God's glory. That is the message of all of the book of Acts, really, is this constant reaffirming that what God is doing, we participate in to bring the kingdom even farther into the world. So, my prayer for you this week and for myself is that we would recognize the gifts that God has given us, not just to say, gee, thanks God for this amazing gift, but to say, okay, you've given me this. Now, where am I supposed to use it? Where does this fit in to the puzzle of my own lived experience? Where is it going to click in and do something amazing that would be impossible without this gift? I promise you those moments exist in your life right now if we will look and pray and trust that God has a plan for you and for me. So God bless you today. May this week be filled with His purpose, His pleasure, and His plan for you. Have a great day.